Good afternoon. My name is Valerie Painter, and I am here with Sherry Morris today. We want to thank you for showing up for Tuesday Tips, October 6th, is it? 2020. So October is Bully Prevention Month, National Bully Prevention Month, and Jordan District is excited that many of our schools are placing an emphasis on what exactly bullying is and how to address it. Oh, I just went out of it.
Oh, they still see it.
Oh, sharing is paused.
Where's your actual slides? Where were they?
This is Sherry's computer.
Sherry, what app did you have your slides in?
Google
There's right there.
Oh, sorry. Technical difficulties. I'll just admit right up front, I'm a tech geek and Sherry and I are sharing a computer and I'm not good with Apple. So there's my excuses. We want to talk about how to recognize bullying. So today we're going to talk about why it's important and what the data says about kids who are involved in bullying. Define what it actually is, what it looks like, signs to watch for, and how to talk to your student about bullying. So I'm going to turn the time over to Sherry, and she will get started with our definition.
Hi, I'm Sherry, and to get us all on the same page, I thought we should take a look at one of the more common definitions of bullying. Bullying is unwanted, aggressive behavior that involves a real or perceived power imbalance. The behavior is repeated or has the potential to be repeated over time. So the reason we're talking about bullying, and now that we're all on the same page as to what bullying is, or what a common definition of bullying is to look at some of the effects of bullying. A myth is that bullying is just a rite of passage. It's just something that kids go through in school, and it's just something that we all have to do as part of growing up. But there has been a lot of research conducted over time that show us the effects of bullying and how it can be lasting. It can affect you for years. Kids who are bullied will oftentimes experience more mental health problems than kids who are not involved in bullying. They may experience more anxiety and depression. They may experience sadness and loneliness. They might have changes in their eating or sleep patterns, loss of interest in activities they used to enjoy. And some of these issues persist into adulthood. They might have somatic or health complaints and decreased academic achievement. And a very small number of bullied children might retaliate through extremely violent measures. An example of this is in the 1990s, there were some school shootings, and 12 of the 15 shootings involved a perpetrator that was bullied. There are also effects of bullying for kids who are aggressive toward other kids. They also have long-term effects. They probably abuse alcohol and drugs in adolescence, and as adults, they're more likely to get into fights, vandalize property, and drop out of school. They may engage in early sexual activity. They may have criminal convictions and traffic citations as adults, and they may be abusive toward their romantic partners and their children as adults. And then we have kids who witness bullying and the long-term effects that they may experience. They may have increased use of tobacco, alcohol, or other drugs, increased mental health problems, including depression and anxiety, and they may miss or skip school. So we can see from this research that bullying is not just a rite of passage, just something that kids move through as they grow up. it does have lasting repercussions. Some of the types of bullying that we're looking at are physical, which is the one that we think of when we think about bullying. This is hitting, kicking, hair pulling, slapping, that kind of thing. Verbal bullying, this is also really common in school, and a lot of times kids don't recognize it as bullying. Name calling or insults or put downs. Like, I can't believe you got that easy question wrong. Then there's relational aggression, which in the kids I've worked with, I start to notice about 4th grade. This is using relationships to hurt someone or to gain power over someone. It includes things like refusing to share your friends, trying to stop 2 people from being friends, giving somebody the silent treatment, or forcing friends to choose sides. Cyberbullying. Cyberbullying is bullying that happens over any electronic media, like cell phones, computers, tablets, and it includes sending, posting, or sharing negative, harmful, false, or mean content about someone else. And it could cause embarrassment and humiliation, and it's not uncommon for this to cross the line into unlawful or criminal behavior. Sibling bullying is something that sometimes as adults and parents we don't recognize, but it includes all the types of bullying, the verbal, the physical, and it's perpetrated between siblings, and it always involves an imbalance of power, whether it's I'm older than you, or I'm more popular than you, or mom likes me better than you. And this is something that parents can really pay attention to, and could have the effect of stopping some bullying from moving from home into the schoolyard. Valerie.
Okay, thank you. So it's important to know when behavior actually becomes bullying. So all kids go through teasing, conflict, a mean moment, and that doesn't constitute that they're being bullied. So when it's teasing, everyone's having a good time. Even the person that they're sort of targeting is laughing and having fun and not being hurt. If it's a conflict, it can be kids who are normally friends and they get in a fight playing basketball one day, or somebody wants to go first and they get in a fight over that, but it's not something that happens over time, and there's an equal, a perception or reality of an equal balance of power. And then there's the mean moment where someone is being hurt on purpose, but it could be a reaction to somebody having a strong feeling or emotion. Maybe they had a bad day or got a bad grade on a test, and in that moment they act out, but it's an isolated event and not happening regularly. So again, bullying is physically, socially, and or emotionally harming someone. There's a real or perceived unequal balance of power. It happens more than once, and it happens over a period of time. And again, someone is being hurt on purpose. So what are some signs you can look for as a parent that would indicate your child is being bullied? And it is also important to note that not all children who are bullied exhibit these signs. But if your child comes home and they've lost something, or they have a torn shirt, a book's missing, lost or destroyed personal property, unexplained injuries, or when you do ask them, their story doesn't quite add up, frequent headaches, stomach aches, feeling sick, or faking illness. You notice a change in their eating habits. They're skipping meals or they're binge eating. And sometimes kids who are being bullied come home from school hungry because somebody took their lunch or their lunch money. You notice a change in their sleeping habits. They have difficulty sleeping, or they're waking up with from nightmares. their grades start to go down, they're just acting different, they're not interested in schoolwork, or not wanting to go to school because school's just not a pleasant place for them to be. If they have friends that suddenly quit coming around or quit calling, or they're not being invited to parties, and they have a history of being social, and now they want to avoid those situations, that would be something to look into. If you notice your child feeling helpless and like they can't do anything or accomplish anything and have decreased self-esteem. And then lastly, self-destructive behaviors. In cases that really escalate, they could run away or start engaging in self-harm, and even dreadfully talking about suicide. None of us want to think that our child is the one doing the bullying, but it's important to note that children who bully, the data shows that they are as likely to commit suicide as students who are bullied. So that's shocking. And I also want to let you know that Jordan District is really progressive in changing the mindset to supporting all three people, the bystander, the bully themselves, and the child being bullied, with, withholding judgment and providing resources and support that they need. So here's some things to look for if you think your child might be a bully. They're getting into physical or verbal fights. They're hanging out with other kids who tend to bully others. You're noticing that they're getting increasingly aggressive. They're having discipline issues or getting sent to the principal's office. They have unexplained extra money or new belongings that you don't know where they came from. They have a tendency to blame others for their problems and don't want to accept responsibility for their own actions. And they're competitive and worry about their reputation or popularity. And that's kind of a tough one to know, because most kids worry about their reputation and popularity, and they all have a little bit of a competitive streak. But notice if it gets to be where it's a problem and causing problems in their relationships. Oh, let's see, I went backwards. Okay, how you can help your child identify bullying, because a lot of kids, especially the younger kids, anytime anything happens and they hear a word, which they will be hearing this month in school a lot, then we'll get increased reports of bullying when it's not actually bullying. So if your child talks to you and tells you about a situation and you're not sure if it's bullying, Pacer.org provides this quick checklist. Does your child feel hurt, either emotionally or physically, by the other child's behavior? Has your child been the target of the negative behavior more than once? Does your child want the behavior to stop, and do they feel unable to make it stop on their own? And if the response to one or more of those questions is yes, the more likely it is that that behavior would be considered bullying. Okay, I'm going to turn the time back over to Sherry.
And we're going to talk a little bit about how to talk to your kids about being bullied. And we'll start by looking at some of the reasons that kids don't generally talk to adults about being bullied. Primarily, it's because it's embarrassing. It might be humiliating. They might fear being seen as weak by their adult. They could fear backlash from the kid who bullied them. And they may already feel socially isolated, and they're afraid that nobody cares, because that's what social isolation feels like. Kids may fear being rejected by their peers, and friends can help protect kids from bullying, and kids can fear losing this support if they tattle. So since kids aren't always apt to talk about bullying, here are some tips for talking to your child about bullying. And what with it being Bullying Prevention Month, this is as good a time as any. First of all, listen. It's your child's story, and they might be in pain or they might just have a hard time getting it out. So if you practice your active listening skills and maybe reflect what they're saying, not try to say it for them, they'll feel safe. Believe what your child is telling you, and believe what they're telling you, but don't have such a strong response that it doesn't feel safe to tell you something. Sometimes kids are worried about telling their adult caregivers about something because then they might have to reassure or comfort the caregiver. You want to be supportive, tell the child it's not his fault and that he doesn't deserve to be bullied, and empower the child by telling her how terrific she is. Avoid judgmental comments or about the child or about the bully. The child may already be feeling isolated, and hearing negative statements from parents may only further isolate him or her. Be patient. Kids sometimes have a hard time getting it all out, and maybe they're only ready to tell part of it. Be patient. Don't push so that you don't shut them down. Be prepared to provide information. Be prepared to educate your child about bullying. At the end, we'll give some resources for educating yourself and also doing activities at home with your kids around bullying. And you'll want to explore options with your child for intervention strategies. A lot of times, a child who has been bullied feels disempowered, and you can help empower them and give them back some control by helping them decide how they're going to deal with this. It's important to talk to your child about cyberbullying specifically. I think it'll be interesting to see data after this pandemic, and so many kids are spending so much time online. They're going to school online. They're not going a lot of places, but they are spending a lot of time on their computer. I think it will be interesting to see what the outcomes are as far as cyberbullying, if there's an increase in that. But in the meantime, it's really important to help protect your kids by educating them about cyberbullying and setting safety rules. 2 good guidelines. Don't do or say anything online that you wouldn't do or say in person. A lot of times it's easier to say something online than you would say in person. So help them know not to say it online if they wouldn't say it in person. And don't reveal anything online that you wouldn't tell a stranger. Never give out personal information like email, passwords, pictures, personal data. A bully could use that information to harass you in many ways, not to mention it puts you at risk for online perpetrators. Never share too many personal details. If you kept a diary, you would not want to share that with even a good friend, because you never know what would happen, and that information could get out there and be used to embarrass you. So here are some bullying prevention resources, some places you can go to educate yourself and to learn more. Starting with your child's school. Probably they are learning some bullying prevention strategies and doing activities there. You can also go to committeeforchildren.org at cfchildren.org, where you'll find all kinds of activities and research and just tons of stuff to help parents help prevent bullying. Also stopbullying.gov and the Cyberbullying Research Center. I think we can't emphasize enough the importance of helping keep our kids safe online when we're talking about bullying. Did you have something you wanted to say about the playground?
Yeah, I just heard a quote this morning from Brene Brown, and she just said, no child is safe on the playground until every child is safe on the playground. And I thought that was really profound and fitting for this month. So I want to leave you with that thought. And then
Plug next week.
We want to thank you. Yes, and give a little advertisement for the topic next week, which will be responding to bullying. We have our contact information here. Our website is wellness.jordandistrict.org, and our email is wellness@jordandistrict.org. So questions or comments, we are happy to respond, and want to thank you again for joining us and look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.